to figure that out. But I agree with you. This looks like a nice chart.
Yeah. I've played this one before. I actually didn't win on it the last time I played on it, but I know this one is a big mover when it does get going. And it's definitely something to watch. And I know the next one you like a lot, so I'll let you take that one over. And just let me know anything you want me to bring up. I'll take this off. Hold on.
Sure. Yeah. So Fastly, I like I was talking with somebody actually today, and the thing we have to be careful with for Fastly is go ahead and throw the raindrop on for the daily. So Fastly, it spiked and there's rumors of a buyout. And you can see that candle right there. It's not bullish by any means. It's a very indecisive candle. That's why it's purple.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm kind of, after I, was talking to my buddy about this today, I'm actually less bullish Fastly. We could even, look for it to come back down to demand. It really just depends what the market wants to do. Because right now it's, it's just a buyout rumor. So I've seen this happen, so many times with different companies. The rumor is there, investors don't get what they want, and then it just dumps. So I would actually be curious just to watch this, because we can play it either way. Because I do expect it to move. I just don't know exactly which way it's going to move. And I would feel more bullish if the raindrop, because it is sitting on a volume shelf right there. You can see that with those the longest
right
horizontal bars. But the thing with it, if you go ahead and apply a AVWAP at the candle it gapped from. So right there. And then the one that it gapped, the first candle after the gap.
I guess not. Let me do. There we go.
Yeah, it's kind of stubborn sometimes. And then go ahead and do like the very low, like the doji or the.
You want me to do the green or the red? Green.
Either one would work. Yeah. Just kind of get that low period. So you see, it's it's on top of all three of those AVWAPs. I would watch it because those are going to be the supports. And so we can just keep an eye on this, but it was a nice play and we did capitalize on it. We got in because if you draw the zones on here, which we don't have to do right now, but it was just a clear play. We got in because it was sitting in a zone, right? Actually, it was the third candle from the most recent, that green one that's hanging. Yep. That's where we entered in right there, was that long bottom wick. And it was a nice play, but, we kind of did get, more or less lucky because it's buyout rumor news. So, I don't think I'm going to be, buying anything to swing for Fastly for that reason.
So what I'm thinking is I could definitely agree with you. I actually didn't even know about the buyout news. Where'd you find that from?
I can get a website. If you want to go ahead and carry on, I can find a website right now.
Okay. But yeah, anyway, what interested me was, obviously I did not like the weakness that we basically came all the way back down, and then also did not close over 90.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that really concerns me here. But one thing I did like is we kind of entered that, gap area.
Yeah.
And we did, even though we left a higher wick, we could possibly, retest that area, definitely retest 90 for sure. I think they're probably going to do that tomorrow.
Yeah, and if it gets into that gap zone, it's totally a play, because I don't know if you guys like to play gaps with calls, but or with puts, whichever way it's going.
Yeah.
But that's one of my favorite plays. So if it does get into the gap, I will definitely reconsider.
Okay, yeah. So this isn't updated. If I'm correct, I think their earnings is January 28th or the 24th. So there's a run up to there. Let me just double check on that. But yeah, that could be another catalyst. Like we have, for example, an old play that we had that we missed out a big chunk of the move, sadly. Lulu, we got in around right here around 345, 350, now at 380, and they have earnings next week. So those, run up to earnings are pretty big. And to confirm, and it's actually February 18th. So there's a lot of time on this one.
When is the Activision earning?
Activision.
I guess I could pull that up too.
Because
that chart looks really nice.
The chart too?
Yeah, sure. I'll look for the earnings.
February 4th.
Okay. We got time on that one. I'm just kicking myself because I was looking at that cup and handle at 75.
Yeah. Do you think? Oh wait, why is that?
Some other tickers that I had. Microsoft looks really good here.
Oh, I can actually agree with that one too. Is it wedging? Yes, it is wedging. Hold on, let me take this off.
It's a nice chart on the macro.
Yeah. Basically, funny thing is all these tech stocks lately have all been wedging or in a channel. Like
Yeah.
Facebook, for example. You're going to see
Logi,
Amazon right here.
Apple,
Apple, yeah. Literally, you can
Adobe.
name every single one of them and you'll see the wedge
Yeah.
that you drew. I think even Netflix, maybe not Netflix. Yeah, I guess so. But it's more of a channel here. You have the bottom and then the top over here. A lot of these tech stocks have been kind of sitting there waiting for their move. And there's definitely, one coming for Netflix that is basically you can consider it a stay-at-home stock.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see what happens over the next coming days and weeks as California closed tonight or
Yeah.
this
Recently
weekend,
they
past
had
weekend or
that.
something.
They're starting to county by county. They're mandating people stay home.
Yeah, so that's interesting too. Um,
So Home Depot, I think, is worth our time. I think we need to pull that one up because this is a play that is, it's been paying for some time. It's trading in that nice channel right there. You can see it's been respecting it. I like that you have the zones already. That makes it super easy. We'll see what it does tomorrow. I think I might take a shot at it. When is earnings? Let's see. Just a pure demand zone play. We'll see if it bounces. And that's what, a weekly zone? Looks like a weekly zone. Daily
you want to
chart.
do the weekly?
Oh, that was a week. That's a bad close on the week. Let's see.
We want to do a range up. Oh, this is a 10-minute. Hold on, let it do that.
Yeah, we can only do up to a day on the raindrop, but these things are really interesting.
Yeah, you got a lot of volume down here.
A lot of volume down there. But look at the stochastics. I think that, once I don't see it breaking down below that demand zone. If it does, cool, we'll play puts. But I don't see it happening.
Yeah. This is one to watch, definitely near that demand zone. So we'll keep watching this. And actually, that's a good one you brought up there. Let's see.
Oh yeah, big C as well.
Yeah, I know we've talked about this. I kind of just drew this. This doesn't mean it's going to happen or anything, but this one has a 35 or 33% short float. So that's something to definitely look into. You could kind of see that we are actually, kind of forming a curling bottom maybe, or at least, just forming a bottom in general across these areas. And you can see the demand zone that I drew down here going across. You have a lot of candles that are opening, closing, or have wicks in those areas. And the good news is you could see that we broke out of that demand zone on this candle right here, hitting this, kind of top of the, volume, one of the big volume, points that this stock has had. So it's interesting to see there. Now, this one is the one that I was confusing before. It was Big C that has earnings on January 28th. There we go.
Hey, Nick, so go ahead and you see the base of that, that flagpole that failed right in, where is that? Let's see, August. Right where your demand zone's at, right below that, place an anchored VWAP.
On the
and then,
little mini red you're talking about?
Yeah, and then place another one at the top, with the long wick. And then again at the gap candle, and then just at each swing high and low. Let's see what that does for it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, TrendSpider's got to fix the candle sensitivity.
In general, they were all right in that same exact area.
Yeah, okay.
I'll redo it again, but they were all in that same exact area.
So, that area up there, we can already see there's a couple of, VWAPs up there. That's going to show some pretty steady resistance when we get there. But once it's broken through, you can see there's already a gap above. It's not highlighted because gap snake's not on, but you can see it because, at the top of that flagpole, the first big red candle, the gap below, I don't know what, that's probably like a $25 gap or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely be aware of that too. I like this company because they're online retail. So with the holiday season, it just makes sense.
Yeah, and also Amazon. We had the raindrop, which you like to look at a lot. You could see a lot of the volume was at the end of the day right here on the top of the candle. So that's something to look at too going forward, that we could be getting a reversal there. And one thing I want to go into here is this 82 to 83 range. where we definitely have a good amount of resistance. Over that level is where we really like to get into and add this position. That would be a key break of this area, and we want to test that area as support then. And then if it obviously does, then we look to, like I said, get in or add to the position. Is there anything else you want to talk about on this one?
Not on that one necessarily. Let's take a peek at Apple. Apple's kind of got me curious.
Sounds good to me.
It didn't break out as fast as I thought it would. It's still chilling. Yeah, 122. So what do you think is going to happen here?
The good thing that I like here is, we kind of have these two very small pullback days. So it's not like they're saying it is going to pull back. It's more like just a little consolidation before possibly the next move up, where I think we're going to get 125 to 130. I don't think this is done running yet, in my opinion, but obviously we have to see where that goes from there.
Yeah.
I think we could definitely, like I said, get to that 130 area, possibly even retest the highs around 140. But let's just take it step by step and go 125 and 130. 125 being this week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too, especially if we see tech and everything start to, I guess, continue to rally, because that's going to be what drives all this capital that's on the sidelines that's, been waiting the last couple months because they don't want to throw money in and lose it. They want to, wait until there's something sure, because that's what investors like, is they like certainty. And so as we're seeing all this sideline money step in, it kind of, it confirms what we're seeing, this upward trend, all-time highs. It doesn't, even though, it's not all-time highs in terms of real world on the ground economy. We're not doing, we're not at, all-time highs here, but the markets, they don't necessarily, show the on the ground, and we know that. And so, it's just interesting to see, because with the holiday season coming, everything is, it's a perfect storm for a really green November. But I, at the same time, I'm weary just to make sure, because I think that, when everybody is getting greedy, it's time to get really weary. So we'll see. I really hope it's a green November, but it's, if you look at a chart over time, the price goes from demand to supply and back to demand, right? So we're in supply. I want to see how we act, if we're coiling in supply. What's the VIX doing? Is the VIX having inside days? Is it consolidating? What are all these other things that are happening? And so with more and more of these shutdowns coming, or at least that's what it seems like. I'm not really too sure. It's just what, the news and everything that's happening. It seems like more and more areas are shutting down. I would just be surprised to, I guess I'm contradicting myself. How do we have a really green record high November while we're shutting down on the ground?
Yeah. Now, we got to see how it goes into December with, obviously holiday season and all that stuff. I kind of agree. It's kind of interesting to see where they take us, especially with all these closings and stuff like that, and the worries of a second wave. We just got to really take it by ear and see what they do with the markets regarding that news and that information.
Yeah, just figure out what the big capital is doing and then act accordingly, and we'll be good.
But like I was talking about before, one thing that's interesting is tech has been the one that's been lagging in this whole entire run-up with ES over the past, few weeks, or, maybe even you could say 2 months. And now it's the one that's, basically taking the lead and pushing it a little bit higher now. So it's interesting to see how they do that going into end of year. How big of a role tech is going to be, with SPY and, ES and stuff like that going into the end of the year. So we'll see how that plays out too. And then here's another play that I want to go into, one that I like a lot. We had it on this candle right here. We got it around 34 to 35, even at around 36. And then we sold it on the end of the day at around 40, some even selling into the next day at around 41, 42. I think this play is going to turn around very nicely here over this next week. And this is a play I want to look at for a month out or 2 months out. And I think we can get a nice, chunk of change on this one. What I have here is the December 18th 40 calls, which is only 2 weeks away. So that's one option. where they're cheaper. But even, the safer option, which I put here for the January 15th, 40 to 45 calls are still cheap. So this is the one I want to look at with, a couple inside days here. It's starting to bottom out. RSI is bottoming out at around 50. And it's just definitely one to take a look at. Do you have any opinions on that one or no?
No, I like that one too. And they're a gaming stock, and they're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, I like them a lot. And actually, Activision, can we pull their chart up again?
Yeah.
Because they do like, Call of Duty and all that stuff. And I can't imagine their revenue going down when all these kids are at home all day.
Yeah. And another thing that's interesting too is CRSR is an IPO stock, and all of these IPO stocks lately have been going absolutely berserk. So it's something to watch too. Now that we have this massive dip, if it's gonna, reclaim, those highs, or at least reclaim half of that move there. So it's something to look at for sure.
Yeah, I think actually instead of charting this one again, let's pull up PIC since you're mentioning these companies that are running, because SPACs.
Yeah, the SPACs have been running too. I know.
And look at that. Look at that.
Which one is this exactly? Do you know?
Pivotal Investment Corporation. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. These are the guys that are going to, so everybody's talking about electrification of transportation. Okay. In reality, that's not a possibility because, for example, like I can't, I'm a college student, right? How am I supposed to afford an electric car? I'm just supposed to not drive, so when that kind of legislation comes in and they're phasing out gas vehicles, this company is going to take existing cars and they're going to bring them up to code so that they can get back on the road. So I think these guys are going to be big. And if that's me misspeaking, somebody please correct me.
Okay.
Because I still need to do more research on these guys. It's pretty preliminary.
It's definitely going to be a big part of the future. And that's why, so many of them are, just for example, Tesla, look at the way that's moved. Let's see, pre-split, we went to, 1,700, 1,800?
The S&P inclusion is this week as well for Tesla.
Yeah, true. It's just crazy how much this one has moved over the time that I've watched it. I remember when it was $100. Pre-split, by the way. That was pre-split. Yeah. So that's crazy to think. One that I have on the watch list too, Blink charging. A lot of the EV companies, funny that we were just talking about PIC. They're wedging down after a strong, move over the past couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. XBEV, we'll look at those. We'll just take a quick glance at those too. And you can see that this one's right at the edge of that breakout there, for a move back to 26, 27, possibly even 30.
Yeah.
Let's look at these.
I really like weeklies for Blink, just because of, especially, honestly, these charts, it looks like EV is going to run all week and probably open pretty good tomorrow. Everything looks like the momentum's about to switch. Both those charts anyway that you just showed. Yeah.
And this one right here, you could basically draw the same thing. You have a wedging pattern here coming down after a massive, I guess you could say top here at around 72. Now we're at 49. So it's something to look at going forward. Let's see. You draw that, you get this one going here around this level. So, this is something that you could look at too, give or take, a step back either way here. For example, NEO, let's see this one. They're all in the same exact pattern, basically. They had the major run up and then the, little wedge going down. This one right at 30 SMA, so something to watch here. 57 high, now at 43. So this one didn't take as much of a fall as XPEV did, XPEV, or Blink did, but it definitely did take its fall. So these are ones to watch going forward. And what I had here was the December 18th, 25 or 30 calls, or the safer option of going an extra month out, getting the January 15, 30, which are both still cheap plays. Another one I want to look at is Qualcomm. And this one we had last week. I think I posted this on social media. I talked about, and as well as on our room. And you could see we had the wedge breakout here going higher. We had two inside candles that didn't break lower and stood inside this candle's range other than this top wick. And then we had a major breakout Friday going into the end of the day. that one I'm looking at still. I think we're going for, like I said here, 170, 175, and we could look at these contracts as well. Is there anything else you want to go over, Billy?
Yeah, we can go ahead and pull up. Let's see. I have. We can look at Logi. We can actually Verizon has some really interesting options activity for January calls, and I've been looking into some of the stuff I've seen, and they seem to be, if 5G does run in 2021, they'll be pretty well. They'll be sitting pretty. So the chart looks kind of interesting, and then also we can take a peek at Alteryx. And then there's Adobe apps. I got a couple others too, but I think we'll run out of time.
Oh yeah, this one definitely an interest in. If you remember, we actually had long-term plays on this. It would actually be good if we extended that. I'm gonna look at this right now. Hold on, I'm gonna bring up the chain. So let me see. You guys aren't gonna see the chain. I'm gonna just talk it out. Hold on one moment. Yeah, you can go over this one, Bill, if you want. By the way, this is definitely a great chart here. You can see the demand zone that I drew down here around that 100 to 110 range. You can see we have a lot of support in this area.
Yeah, it's got that fish hook thing too that I like. If you pull up the poly line, where you can draw multiple points.
Yep.
And then start at that top green candle. No, sorry, to the right before it gaps down.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, right there. And then click again, and draw that fish hook. You see how it gapped down and it's got that wedge, but the price action is curling kind of.
Wait, where do you want me to go?
So go down about, an inch or 2 inches right there. Click. Perfect. And then go down to the, the base of the red candle right there.
Yeah.
And then
I got to restart.
Oh, you're good.
Polytool is one I haven't used a lot. Okay. So
you click again and then go down to the bottom and then go to the right. Yeah, it's kind of like a fish hook almost. You see how the price is curling?
Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, you guys can see it though.
Forgive me for that, but yeah, I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah, so that's just something that when I can start to see those happening, I usually keep an eye on it again. And Alteryx is they're a great company, and so I see them only going up in the future. They're very relevant in today's business space. And so, I'm watching anytime they come back down to this demand zone, I get an alert. And so, I think that they'll be a good play going forward. They already had their earnings, I believe. And so their next one's, I think in February coming up.
Let me double check on that.
But yeah, these guys have been a good play generally every time, you can snag them in the demand zone on a decent
I
candle.
agree. You also have that gap that we were just talking about, starting at around the 130 level and ending at around the 137 level. So yeah, it is one to watch. Over the past couple of days, we actually sold around this candle 118, 117. So it looks like it's kind of stuck in this area around that 120 range. So probably want to look for a break of 120, and then we could look to enter, I think.
Throw the raindrop on real quick.
Sure thing. Give me a second. Okay, raindrop.
Okay. Yeah. So you can see you see those green balloons. You already know what those are, but for all the people that have never seen these candles, that just shows the color of the candle is the volume action or the price action, and where the bulge is occurring is where the transactions are occurring. So when you have those candles that look like a balloon with a string and then a bulge at the top, and inversely they're red, with a bulge at the bottom, that's just showing, the same thing that a candle would, but if they don't lie with the wicks. I think that these are a much better way to read charts if you put in the time to learn how to use them, just because, like right here, we can see, this could potentially look like, let's see, we got two. Yeah, I would like to, if you're going to try to catch this, I would wait for it to bounce either back down to that demand zone or, have another bullish candle. There's no reason to buy it now.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because you can see that on those raindrop candles, there's more selling action than buying action right here.
Yeah, it's a little indecisiveness on these two candles. I don't have the raindrop up right now, but yeah.
Let's see, what else? We have FFIV was something that popped up, just gunning for all-time highs.
Well, this is a nice setup. This one actually should be on my capper list. Hold on. So the reason why I have this capper list is plays that are, had obviously a big gap, setting up for a new move. For example, like we had QCOM here. PDD is one of them that's right near a big move, kind of the same setup as QCOM. So let's go back to your FF5V. I just wanted to explain that.
Yeah,
And
for
you're
sure.
definitely right. This one is definitely, setting up here. That could be one set of lines there. So what are you thinking about this one?
So for these guys, you can see what I like about it is the stochastic RSI. You can see that it's it's at the bottom of this channel, and we just had a really nice day. And while it is oversold, let's check out the weekly. Or not oversold, sorry, overbought. My bad. I like this because if you look at it, it's sitting in. I called this all-time high. My bad. I had my notes wrong. There's a different one. Yeah, it's just a nice gap play. And if you apply the VWAP at the gap candle, you can do it at the weekly and then zoom in. It should keep all of them.
Oh, it'll keep it on the daily too.
Yeah, it should. And then if you zoom in, yeah, you can see it's been respecting that.
Yeah,
Right away, you can kind of see that. And so you could even use that, as long as the price stays above that and is bouncing off that, this is not going to fill the gap. And you can even throw them at the swing highs, the swing lows. And that's how I would play this stock, because it is kind of one of those stocks that gapped and then it just kind of went. And so before I, ever enter something like this, for example, BA, since it has a lot of gaps in the past, I would do the AVWAP analysis just to know, because you never want to buy something that's losing ground on the current trend, especially if you have, your money on, the line for that trend to actually carry out in the market space. So I always use the AVWAP analysis because it's like a foolproof way of seeing who's in control, the bulls or the bears on the current market, or the price action.
Totally, I agree with you. This is the one thing that I actually don't use a lot, and I don't know why I don't, but I definitely will, start to add it a little bit, kind of see some levels and see how I react to it. But yeah, this is definitely a great tool to at least try and put it on, see if you like it, and if it does, fit your criteria, definitely use it for the future, and obviously it could possibly help you become a better trader that way. Yeah, I know you love that one a lot.
Oh yeah, it's just the information it's presenting to you. If you can act accordingly, then you can't lose. Like, it gives you a very clear and a very, exit and entry condition. I really like the AVWAP.
I agree with you. So here's one thing I wanted to go over. I'm going to take this off. Hold on. So we have SPY here. Now this trend line that I have here goes from the March highs all the way across, and you can see we get rejected here, and on Friday we actually broke and closed above this high for the first time since then. So this is definitely something to look at going forward. Let's just look at ES here. So we're at 36.96 on the futures right now. We had a high of 37.05, if I'm correct, earlier this afternoon at 6 p.m. Eastern, so 2.5 hours ago. Yep, 37.05. So this is definitely something to look, into going into the next few days on how we're going to trade here. We would either want to consolidate around this area, possibly, test these areas lower. We do not want to break under 35.80. And if we do indeed break out higher, we'd look at 37.54 for ES, which is the SPY futures, and around 3,800 or 37.76. So anywhere in that 50-point range there. So it is a wide range, but it's definitely something to look at around 37.54. We can see a possible, area to look at for the SPY futures if we continue to rise higher. Here's one that I like over the next week or two. Just want to go over this one. So this is one on the gapper list that I have here on the right. Obviously, we had that big move I talked about on Thursday with the gap and go on the earnings. And I'm looking for a 3 to 4 day pullback, just cool it down a little bit. And then we could see a possible move higher into this 185, 190 range, going into 200 in the future, probably in 2 to 4 weeks. So this is going to be a big trade that I'm looking at over that time frame. I'm not going to enter until another 2 to 3 days until it cools down. But after that, we could definitely look into that.
Yeah, it's a nice looking chart. I'd say another one to look at is probably going to be either Facebook or AMD. Those both look nice. And then, of course, Fubo, they've been consolidating nicely, bouncing off 26. So I have an eye on them too. I did add to that position.
Yeah, a lot of people were AMD had a nice move Friday, right? Actually, just in general, let's just say the week, those 5 days, it had a nice move. This is definitely one to look at going into 100, possibly this week or next week. You could see we're kind of flagging, or channeling right here off this big green. So looking for a secondary move higher. That's definitely a nice one to, pull up there. A nice one on that one, Bully. Let's see.
Yeah, the 15-minute chart for AMD, granted it might not open this way, but it did look really good for the raindrops. It was holding that current level pretty well.
You said 15?
Yeah, and you could see that flag too on the 30 or whatever it was. Yeah, it had a nice bounce to close right there. So we'll see. I do like AMD to test, $100 and to achieve probably like into the 120s, 130s relatively soon. Sounds kind of crazy now, but they're definitely, they're going to get up over 100 pretty soon.
Yeah, I agree.
Fubo is a really nice one. And it's actually a pretty good entry here because it's been consolidating. And you can see it's kind of an ugly flag, right? Because all those wicks and stuff, but you can more or less still see it. If you go to the weekly chart and we start there, it was taking a much needed cool off. Fubo has been experiencing some overnight news drops, and so it gaps up and then, it sells off, people take profits and then they buy back in, creating those long lower wicks. But the thing about Fubo is that they're still incredibly undervalued in terms of their market cap. And, they keep dropping these PRs. And so the thing about those PRs is, the stock moves 20% at open, and then it'll reach, maybe a high of 30% during the day. And so it moves incredibly, and it's really undervalued. And it came to market via SPAC. So it's just something I'm watching, and I do have commons that I intend to hold for a long time. So, and you can see the volume shelf that it's already accumulated. It hasn't been there long at all.
Yeah.
But you can see the volume shelf.
I don't want to cut you off, but
Sure.
The share's gonna end in around 10 to 15 seconds. So I want to thank you guys for joining. Bully, I'm guessing you might continue if you want.
No, I think I'm done too. But hey, everybody, thanks for joining. Nick, thanks for hosting, man.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna be doing this, every Sunday if we can. Obviously, Sunday Watchlist will be out for everyone. Thank you guys for joining, and hope to see you again. Have a great evening.